The New Horizon Academy. The tyres of an old blue sedan crunched along the long gravel driveway that cut through acres of overgrown pine and oak. The afternoon sun slanted through the trees, glinting off the hood, and inside the car, silence pressed down, heavier than the humid air. In the driver's seat sat Robert Hayes, a man weathered by years of hard work and harder disappointments. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles pale, as if letting go might mean losing the last bit of control he had. In the back seat sat his 3 sons, all grown but restless, each staring out opposite windows as though distance could change what waited at the end of that road. "This is ridiculous," muttered Evan, the eldest at 25. His brown hair, a little too long, fell into his eyes as he scowled at the passing trees. "We're adults, Dad. We don't need some boot camp babysitter telling us how to live our lives." "Could be worse," said Caleb, 23, his tone cautious. He fidgeted with the fraying edge of his t-shirt. "Maybe it'll be good for us." A reset, Evan snorted. "You sound like one of them already." Up front, Micah, the youngest at 21, sat stiffly with his arms crossed. He didn't speak, but his jaw was locked, his eyes focused straight ahead. Robert sighed, breaking the tension. "Boys, I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing this because I've run out of options. The fighting, the drinking, the arrests. It has to stop. You need structure. You need to remember who you are." No one answered. The car rounded a bend, and suddenly the trees opened up to reveal a sprawling stone building perched atop a hill. A tall metal gate stood before it, crowned with an iron arch that read, "New Horizon Academy, rebuild, reform, renew." A uniformed woman was waiting at the gate, posture straight as a ruler. Her dark hair was pulled into a tight bun beneath her cap. "Mr. Hayes," she greeted curtly, as the car came to a stop. "I'm Captain Elena Rivera, Program Director." "We'll take it from here." Robert stepped out and motioned for his sons to do the same. The air was heavy with unsaid things. He looked each of them in the eyes. "I know you're angry. I know you think I'm overstepping, but I believe this place can help you find yourselves again. Please, don't waste the chance." One by one, he pulled them into tight hugs. For the first time in years, none of them pulled away. When the car finally disappeared down the drive, the brothers stood together in silence, the weight of uncertainty pressing on their shoulders. "Follow me," Captain Rivera ordered, her voice clipped but not unkind. The academy inside, the air smelled faintly of disinfectant and pine wood. The halls were lined with old photographs, young men and women standing at attention, faces hardened by discipline and determination. The brothers were led into an assembly room where 24 others sat waiting. Men and women of varying ages, some anxious, others defiant. Captain Rivera stepped onto the small stage. "You are here because, in one way or another, you've lost direction," she began. "This is not a punishment. This is a reset. At New Horizon, you will rediscover purpose through discipline, cooperation, and reflection. The work will be hard. The days will be long. But if you give it a chance, it can change your life." She outlined the rules: early mornings, physical drills, academic lessons, community service, and counselling. Every detail was rigid, precise. Evan rolled his eyes. Caleb sat straighter. Micah just stared at the floor. The first weeks. The first week nearly broke them. They were woken at dawn by a shrill whistle and thrown into obstacle courses before breakfast. Mistakes meant push-ups, laps, or silent reflection. Meals were plain, conversations limited, and nights ended with journal writing under strict lights-out orders. Evan rebelled the hardest. He argued with instructors, skipped exercises, and was caught sneaking a cigarette behind the dorms. He was disciplined with extra duties, scrubbing floors, cleaning the stables, endless drills under the sun. Caleb struggled quietly. He had panic attacks during drills, found it hard to sleep, and often stared at the ceiling wondering what his life had become. Micah kept to himself. He followed every rule, but his silence built walls between him and everyone else. But little by little, something began to shift. One evening, while mopping the cafeteria floor, Evan overheard two other trainees talking about their mistakes, how they had hurt their families, how they were trying to do better. For the first time, he listened instead of judging. Caleb found peace in the music therapy sessions. A dusty guitar in the corner called to him, and when he played, the tension seemed to fade, for him and for others. Soon, his music became the heartbeat of the common room. Micah was assigned to the Academy's animal rehabilitation program, where he worked with rescue dogs used for therapy. The animals responded to his calm strength, and he began to open up through them. Slowly, but surely. Transformation. Weeks became months. The Academy's rhythm, once suffocating, began to feel natural. Evan took on a leadership role, mentoring new arrivals. He learned to channel his anger into responsibility. Caleb became the heart of the group, always ready with a song or a word of encouragement. He discovered empathy he never knew he had. Micah found joy in purpose. He helped train therapy dogs that would later serve veterans and children with disabilities. Watching them thrive filled him with pride. They weren't just brothers again. They were a team. Homecoming. 6 months later, the day of departure arrived. The brothers stood side by side at the academy gates, bags in hand. Captain Rivera approached them, her expression softer than usual. "You've all come a long way," she said. "Remember, the work doesn't end here. Take what you've learned and live it." Their father's car appeared at the end of the drive, sunlight gleaming off the windshield. When he stepped out, his eyes widened. He hardly recognized them. Their posture, their expressions, even the way they carried themselves, it was all different. "Boys," he said quietly, emotion catching in his throat. "You did it." Evans smiled. "No, Dad. We are doing it." They piled into the car, laughter replacing the silence that had once filled every mile between them. New beginnings. Home felt both familiar and foreign. Their old rooms were the same, but they weren't. Evan applied to finish his degree in criminal justice, hoping to help others turn their lives around. Caleb started teaching guitar lessons at a local youth centre. Micah volunteered full-time at the animal shelter, helping train therapy dogs for veterans. Their father watched proudly, amazed by the men his sons had become. Of course, life wasn't perfect. There were moments of doubt, flashes of old habits, times when the world didn't believe in their change, but they believed in each other. 1 year later, they gathered for a small barbecue in the backyard. The sun dipped low, painting the sky gold. "To second chances," Robert said, raising his glass. Evan, Caleb, and Micah clinked theirs together. "To new horizons," they echoed. They sat in easy silence, the kind born of peace rather than distance. The road that had once seemed like punishment had become the path that saved them.